Shalom. You know, if there's one word that could describe Parshat Pinchas, this week's Torah portion, and one word that really connects everything in this week's Torah portion, all the themes, that word would have to be continuation. Here we are in the third to the last Torah portion in BaMidbar. The book of Numbers opens with the personality of Pinchas, who single-handedly staved off the retribution, the anger of God. What happened was, at the end of last week's Torah portion, Bilam, that master manipulator who was disappointed that he was not able to drive a wedge between God and Israel, his precious people, through his crafty words. Instead, he advised Balak, king of Moab, to somehow set the people of Israel up for a fall through licentious relationships with the daughters of Moab and entice them to come to a situation of idolatry. And Pinchas, he stood against the tide. He acted with great courage and fortitude, and he dared to take a step out for the honor of God when there was this one person who was publicly desecrating the name of God by carrying on with a Moabite woman. Nobody knew what to do. Nobody knew how to react except for Pinchas. And actually, what Balak was really so deeply afraid of, the reason that he came to this conclusion that he should employ this type of subterfuge and this type of enticement, he was really afraid of the most was the unity of Israel. He looked at Israel. He looked at what they accomplished so far. He looked at their victories in the desert, and he said, if this is how powerful they are now, there'll be no stopping them when they come into their land and they are totally connected. They are fused together with their land. And at all costs, Balak sought to somehow disrupt that unity, the unity really of Israel and the God of Israel. And that was their motivation. So Pinchas was able to recognize this and diffuse it. And as a reward, he himself received this very unique and enigmatic blessing of continuation. Therefore, say, behold, I give him my covenant of peace, and it shall be for him and his offspring after him a covenant of eternal priesthood, because he took vengeance for his God, and he atoned for the children of Israel. So something there was that Pinchas achieved through his rather unconventional methods. He achieved something for himself and his progeny forever, a new level of commitment, a new level of priesthood. And that theme of continuation, continuity, a guarantee of continuation, really continues throughout the entire portion. Of course, first we have the census, which now goes according to families. The family units of Israel is now ensured through the dedication of Pinchas and the continuation of the daughters of Slavchad, their commitment to the land of Israel, the preparations that are going on now for coming into the land of Israel. We're coming to the conclusion of the book of Numbers. The book of Deuteronomy is a whole other story. It's Moshe's soliloquy. It's his parting words to his beloved people. In a way, as we come towards the end of the book of BaMidbar, we're coming towards the end of the Torah. The book of Devarim is considered to be another layer, another level altogether, but something separate. So, here in this Torah portion, Hashem tells Moshe, again, he shows him the land. He tells him that he is going to see it, but then be gathered to his people, as Aaron was gathered, and that he will not be going in. But Moshe asks Hashem to appoint a successor, again, concerned about the continuity, concerned that there always will be a leader to go before the people and to demonstrate on a personal level, to be a role model, to show how there must be a synthesis of the spiritual and the physical, and how the path that they will be walking will be guaranteed for them. And then, suddenly, really out of nowhere, here, in a place that we would not expect it, chapter 28 begins with the tamid, the continual daily offering. And there's nothing that symbolizes continuity in our lives more than the tamid, which itself really translates to constance. The constant offering, the daily offering that is brought in the Holy Temple twice, each day. And we would have thought that the proper place for the instructions regarding the offerings in the Holy Temple, and by the way, we begin here with the Tamid, and then the Torah goes on to detail all of the Musaf offerings, the additional offerings that are brought on all of the special occasions in the Holy Temple, Shabbat and Rosh Chodesh, and then the festivals, Pesach, Shavuot, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Shmini Atzeret. This is not given over in Leviticus. In Leviticus 23, we have the cycle of the seasons, the cycle of the calendar, the holidays, the sacred seasons. But here, in Parshat Pinchas, the festivals are mentioned, and we're taught about the festivals, but it's through the lens of the offerings that are brought, the special Musaf offerings. And in a way, actually, this Torah portion, actually, and this is a very interesting thought, is kind of like the end of the laws of the Torah, in a way, because the rest of the mitzvot that are discussed in the remaining parshiot are on a different level. They're somewhat voluntary. There is the concepts of vows. There's the concept of the special dispensation of those tribes that wanted land outside of the borders of the land of Israel. This is a different level of mitzvot. But the remainder of the book of Numbers that concerns the tribes and the wanderings and their borders is a different concept. So here marks really Parshat Pinchas a certain kind of transformation. And here, really at the end of the laws of the Torah, as such, we have the Tamid, the continuous, constant daily offering. Again, whose place we would have suspected would be back in Leviticus. And what is the Tamid really all about? Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, "Command the children of Israel and say to them, my offering, my food for my fires, my satisfying aroma, shall you be scrupulous to offer to me in its appointed time." Vaydaber Hashem al Moshe lemor, Hashem spoke to Moshe saying, "Tzav et bnei Yisrael, command the children of Israel, v'amarta lehem et karbani lachmi liishai reach nichochi tishmeru lahakruv li b'moado," as we translated. And every single word in these verses is really a world. And what we're dealing here, we're dealing with the karbanot tzibur, the public offerings. And speaking of continuity, the theme of this Torah portion, just as Pinchas ensured the continuity of the Jewish people and himself was guaranteed a special level of continuity, just as the daughters of Tzlafchad represent the continuity of the Jewish people in their land, and just as Moshe Rabbeinu, in the face of impending death, implored God to ensure that his people would not be without a leader, so too these public offerings are actually an emphasis that the people and their leaders should never come to lose their calling. They should constantly be reminded, they should be keeping in mind their never-ending mission. And these public offerings, they actually complement the appointment of Yehoshua for the continuation of God's work with the people of Israel that Moshe had begun. So in a way, in a manner of speaking here, Moshe Rabbeinu is handing over to the future, he's handing over his role to Yehoshua, and he's handing over the concept of the korbanot tzibur, the public offerings. And both of these things are, until now they've been entrusted to his care, the leadership and the Torah of the offerings, and now he is guaranteeing the continuity of the future. The Tamid offering, the daily offering, command the children of Israel and say to them, my offering, lachmi, my food. What is that? Hashem's food? Lachmi, my lechem, my bread, represents everything that we do in this world, all of our physicality, all of our connection to this world, how it is elevated and connected to Hashem. Ishai, through my fires, by elevating everything that we do through the fire of Sinai, the Torah itself, our commitment to God, by seeing everything in this world as being a gift from Hashem and understanding it and being able to extract from it its meaning only through the Torah itself as our life, that actually turns into the satisfying aroma, this constant process that is taking place, that we've spoken about so many times, when a man stands by the altar. And the Tamid offering, which is brought every day, is the very reason why the altar is erected in the Holy Temple. And really, when seen as it's being presented in today's Torah portion, it's really the reason for going into Eretz Israel. And of course, it's the reason for our existence, to produce that satisfying aroma. And what is that smell, as it were, metaphorically, that Hashem senses? It's not the smell of the korban, itself. Again, et karbani lachmi, my korban, my bread. The first word that's used here, again, the korban, coming close to Hashem. This word is like a mathematical equation. If we would just be looking at this sentence is like a mathematical equation. If we just be looking at this sentence conceptually, where every word is like a numerical value. Karbani, my korban, coming close to me. How do you come close to me? Lachmi, through realizing that my bread, everything that I give you in this world, all of the physical potential, everything that you can achieve in this world, Li'ishai, for my fire, as brought to me through the constant, ever refreshing fire of the reality of Sinai, of the Torah, of the only true reality of godliness being in this world. That brings about a state of a satisfying aroma for me, Hashem says, when you are constantly refining yourself, the tamid, constantly refining yourself by subjugating the animal nature within you, by realizing, as we've said so many times, what goes through a person, the tremendously challenging and yet invigorating and yet life-giving process of bringing an offering and realizing this is the difference between me as a human being and an animal, that I can still turn around and become a man again. This itself is the guarantee of the continuation of the Jewish people. This itself is the antidote and the answer to all of the evil that Balak, through Bilam, sought to bring upon the children of Israel. And this is what Pinchas perceived. This has got to stop, he said. We are not lawless biological organisms that could give in to every lust and every desire. No, we have a mission. It's a never-ending mission. It's a never-ending calling. It's the tamid. It's every day. And that's why it's being placed right here. And you shall be scrupulous to offer it to me in its appointed time. The tamid itself is called moed. This is unbelievable. The parsha then begins to describe the musaf, additional offerings, and the additional offerings always bespeak a higher level of sanctity, that are brought on the moadim, on Shabbat, on Rosh Chodesh, on Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot, Shmini Atzeret. These days are called moed, an appointed time, a meeting time, because moed always signifies some point in history which was life-changing. Moed signifies a time when something happened that proved to the whole world that God exists. And that's why we keep those dates. because our observance of those days is a continuation of that thunderous recognition, that thing that broke our spell when we realized that really God does exist. He proved it on those days, on Pesach, on Sukkot, every Rosh Chodesh, every Shabbat. Those occasions cry out that God is in the world. They're called Moed. But yet, here we see, and this is incredible, that the first Moed, the basis of all Moed, is every day. Every day in the Holy Temple, when the Tamid is brought, the Tamid, the constants, the constant offering, the constant vehicle for refinement, the constant laboratory in our relationship with Hashem of becoming a human being and answering Balak's plan and Bilam's plan and showing them, no, this is not going to happen to us again. The Tamid is the first Moed. It's the root. It's the basis. It's the foundation that holds up all the other Moadim, Shabbat, Rosh Chodesh, Pesach, all of the festivals that cry out, there's a God in the world, look what happened here, and we have to observe this every year at this time because it's a Moed, it's an appointed time. Well, guess what? Every day is a Moed when the Tamid is brought. Every day is a living proof that Hashem is in the world. And how is it articulated? Through our continuation and acceptance upon ourselves of our never-ending mission, not to give in to the base foibles of this world like everyone else, not to freeze in the moment, but to keeping on, showing the world the light of God through Eretz Israel. We're coming now into the land. That's why this is mentioned here and not where we would expect it to be in Leviticus, because we're about to go in now. This marks the end, as it were, of the set of mitzvot that Hashem is giving. And the last thing that He's really telling us as the obligatory mitzvot is the most important of all, that it's all tamid, it's constant, it's every day. And just as Moshe is concerned about the legacy, the future, who will carry the people, and just as Pinchas ensured that the people, their future will be guaranteed through the eternal covenant of peace, the super, as it were, priesthood of standing up and defending the honor of Hashem and reminding these people who they are. So too the tamid, daily offering in the Holy Temple, the bread, bringing every aspect of physicality through the fire of Torah in the Beit HaMikdash to cause the pleasing aroma to Hashem when He senses that we are striving to be as high as we possibly can be as human beings. That is the guarantee of the continuation of the people of Israel and the connection to the God of Israel through the Torah of Israel in the land of Israel.